So here I am, hiding from daughters and my asshole cat. At least I'm not in front of the refrigerator now, I'm in front of the microwave. Let's talk about how not to choke on word salad. So word salad is all these mental gymnastics and irrational logic, path, and counter arguments that a narcissist uses to avoid the blame or to drive you crazy. The mental gymnastics that they go through are just insane. Mentally, so think of it like this, mentally, like logic-wise. Assuming you've seen the movie The Matrix, there's that one scene where Agent Smith pulls out the gun and tries to shoot Keanu Reeves, and it goes into super slow motion, and he's doing this crazy arm windmill, back bend, spring, whatever kind of crazy high speed, slow motion gymnastics, dodging the bullets. And at the end of it, people are like, whoa, I've never seen anybody move that fast. And he goes, not fast enough, right? We all know that scene. Narcissists are the same way. When you have a point, so first of all, understand the narcissists always argue to two things. Number one, when they're correct, they stick to that point and they do not budge, even if that point is irrelevant. Okay, and we'll get to that. Even when the point is irrelevant, they stick to it and they make the argument about that point that they are 100% correct on, telling you that you're wrong, and they flip it on you and try to get you to force you to prove that they are wrong when inarguably they are correct. It just has nothing to do with what you started off on. Okay, so that's one. When they're correct, they argue to the point. When they're wrong, they immediately shift blame and they start concocting this evil scheme like this. It was just building it all up in their head, all these little things that can piss you off, anger you. And they change the subject to something like this. So they instead, when they're wrong, they don't answer the question. They immediately go into trying to piss you off and trying to get you out of your element, trying to make you mad, get you off balance, off center. So recognize these two things. When you're going up against a narcissist, they are either immovably correct about something that is irrelevant, or they're going on the attack just to piss you off on something irrelevant. So, number one, when engaging the narcissist, you stay on point. Number one. Number two, you make sure that you are correct. So the best thing to do, because you're going to always end up in a situation where they try to triangulate you against somebody. And if you know who that person's going to be, talk to them ahead of time and get their opinion. But do not tell them this under any circumstances, not even during the argument. And I'll get to that in a minute. So you get any triangulation out of the way ahead of time, if you can. And you also make sure that whatever point it is you're making is factually and legally correct. If you have to consult an attorney, consult the attorneys, or a doctor, or a psychologist. Not Google, for the love of God. Okay, don't use the internet for a source. Period. Don't use the internet. For fuck's sake, because you can find stuff on the internet that says the world is flat. Okay? And if you're a flat earther, sorry, I disagree. So you do all of this. Now, you have to get that mental picture in your head that the very second you engage in conflict with the narcissist, picture Neo in the Matrix going on in their little head. That's their logic and rationale. It's going to do everything it can to dodge every bullet, every point. And that's fine, because here's the thing. You will never, ever get them to agree that they're wrong or do anything to help you. But they also know when they're screwing up, they will deflect and deflect and deflect and dodge. Then, after everything's said and done, they'll correct themselves anyways. So if they're doing something that's illegal, and they're arguing that it is in fact illegal, that you don't know what you're talking about, and that they're not going to stop doing it, and that you're stupid, blah, 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 afterwards, they're not going to do their illegal stuff. They're not going to tell you that. They're going to tell you that they're going to keep right on. And they'll probably stop it in the background, but just to piss you off, they'll do it when you come around. But other than that, chances are they're not doing it because you corrected them. They know it. They're just not going to let you know that they're wrong. Now, when you're engaging them, this is real important. The concept of positive supply and negative supply, okay? They get an emotional charge. Like the conflict is what they thrive on. The conflict fuels them and feeds them. Like it gives them their jollies. Positive fuel is when they are destroying you. Like, you're a total piece of shit. I am ruining you. I'm destroying you. Look at how awesome and powerful I am. That kind of stuff. Like, you're stupid. I'm proving you wrong. Negative supply, and this is what throws people off so much, is you think that you're winning the argument because you have your points. Narcissists prefer to have negative supply and expend emotional energy over having none at all. So that's like the messed up thing, because you'd think normally it's like, okay, there's positive supply. It's like they're either downing me, or we're neutral, or I'm downing them, right? And in our minds, we think that when we are downing them, that's the worst possible position for them, and it's not. It's not what they prefer, or rather, it's not what they prefer the least. The negative supply. Here's the thing: when they're condescending you, they're getting the rocks off, thinking, "Yeah, I'm so much better than you, and you're a stupid piece of shit, and I'm in control." When you're downing them, and you have a point, they get that sick, creepy smile on their face, like where they're enjoying it. They're enjoying your rage. And that's because in their mind, they're thinking, look at you go. I have just set you off. Yes, hate me, focus all your energy. Like, think of like Stewie from Family Guy. Yes, focus all of your rage. What was it, Fight Club? Fight Club is a good one, right? The scene where Lou comes in and starts beating up Brad Pitt, right? And he's like, come on, Lou, we really like the place. And Lou's just pummeling the shit out of Brad Pitt, and he's just laughing his head off, right? And starts slinging his blood all over Lou, right? That's negative supply, okay? And you have to understand that narcissists prefer that more over silence. So think about that. They prefer that to having no conflict whatsoever. So remember that. So when you have the point, and you're going to engage them, when they're yelling at you and being correct and correcting you and condescending you, that's positive supply, and they love it. When you are proving them wrong and telling them how wrong they are and providing the facts as to how they're wrong, they're also enjoying it. That is huge, okay? So what do? Well, for one, above all else, know your point, stick to it. Do not repeat yourself. Because one of the strategies is, think of whenever you have a knot tied in your shoe, a really, really super tight knot, okay? I mean, that knot is there. It's tied. It's not going anywhere. How do you untie a knot? You start to pinch at it, pick at it just a little bit, try to work it loose, and at first, it's tough going. You sit there and you scratch and you scratch and you scratch, and you look for the weakest part of the knot that you can scratch at, and the very second you get just a little bit of slack from that one part of the knot, that's your focus, and you start clawing at it and clawing at it and clawing at it until, boom, the whole knot comes undone. And that is the strategy of word salad. When you start going back and forth, anytime you make a point, it immediately shifts to something else, immediately to something else, immediately to something else. And it oftentimes goes in circles and circles and circles. And that's because in their mind, they're like Neo in the Matrix, doing their dodging slow motion shit. When they're on the attack, they're picking at the knot. So, what do you do? Number one, the way you keep the knot tight. Okay? Always say, like, you make your point in the beginning. And then after that, you do not restate it. You say, I already told you that. I already explained this to you. I'm not explaining myself again. And they're like, well, no, you're wrong. I'm like, you can think whatever you want, but I'm not. I've already looked into it. And then they're like, oh, really? Yeah? Yeah? Well, what's your source? Huh? Prove it, prove it, prove it. And you say, oh, I got nothing else to say, so I'm going to go. And that's it. Like, in the middle of it, you say, you state you state your point in the very beginning. They're going to trigger you. They're going to throw you off center. They're going to make you explain. They're going to tell you that you're wrong. They want you to do all the groundwork and just reveal everything to them. And this is where, remember this, it's okay to let them be wrong. When you get into a conflict and you know that they're wrong and you're right, and you're trying to tell them something, they will never, ever say, oh shit, I was wrong. No, they're not. And they will not change that position. They will double down and stand firm in their position. And when they do that, you say, okay, let them be wrong. Because afterwards, they'll probably go back and correct their behavior. You can't listen to the words. You can't listen to the words at all. Because all it's going to do is they're going to go for either the positive supply or the negative supply. So if they can't make you feel like a piece of shit, then the next step is they're going to get you angry. Yes, focus your rage on me. Yes, hit me with all you've got. Yes, I'm a piece of shit. Yes. That kind of sick mentality, right? So when you go into this, remember that. And when they start trying to piss you off, that's when you say, well, I've made my position clear. I don't think there's nothing I really have to add to it. So I'm going to go. Really? Really? That's it? So that's it? Yeah, bye. And that's it. It's going to drive them nuts. Shut off your phone. Go do something fun. That's it. Don't let the word salad progress. So, to wrap this up, it's perfectly fine to let them be wrong. It's best not to provide proof and evidence. Okay? When you play poker and you're sitting there raising, re-raising, going back and forth, you don't show your cards before all the betting is done, right? You don't go into a hand of poker saying, I bet, and they say, oh yeah, well I'll raise. Oh yeah, well I'll re-raise. Oh yeah, well I'll re-raise your raise. And you're like, you know what? You're wrong. You should not be re-raising my raise. You should not be betting against me because look, I've got a full house, right? See, I've got the full house. You do not. You do not need to be re-raising me. Would you ever do that at a poker table? Don't do it in an argument. Plain and simple. Because arguments are just like poker. You both have your cards. They sure as hell are not telling you what's in their hand. Chances are they bluffing. But they're willing to bet it all to destroy you and get all your chips, or to just mess with you at the table. I'm out of time. Thank you very much for watching. Do please like, comment, or share. I'll see you on the next video.